With Fannie and Freddie. Joining us now from Capitol Hill are two members of the Conference Committee on Financial Reform, Democratic Congressman Paul Kanjorski of Pennsylvania and Republican Congresswoman Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, good to see you. We're going to get to Fannie and Freddie in 1 second. But first, I got to ask you, in the last hour, we learned this congressman from Massachusetts, new Senator Brown, he says he's not going to vote for it. Suddenly, FinReg is up in the air all over again. Congressman Kanjorski, what are you hearing? We're hearing rumors that maybe you're going to have to reopen the conference.
Well, that's being discussed. There are several alternatives. This is just another delay and happening. We've had a lot of those through this whole process, and we'll have more. But we have methods of handling this. The important thing is, and it's unfortunate, is that when members make a decision to do something, they really should be more thoroughly committed to make these commitments that they talk about, because other than that, we move towards something and get very close like this and have to retract. And that's very difficult, and it sends a bad message to the general public and to the citizenry that this is not a done deal. In reality, it's a done deal.
Congresswoman, so Representative Kanjorski just said it's possible to reopen conference. What are you hearing? Would you like that to happen? And what changes would you look for if indeed that does happen?
Well, I'd love to have conference reopened, as I voted against the bill.
Is it going to be reopened, do you think?
We still don't know. We're hearing possibly maybe later this afternoon. But I think if I could speak a little bit about why Senator Brown has withdrawn his vote. I mean, there was a $19 billion tax inserted into the bill in the middle of the night on Thursday night as a pay-for the bill. And so I think this is great concern. What kind of impact is this going to have on jobs and credit and small businesses? That's the question that he's asking, and I'm certain if we reopen the conference, we'll be asking those same questions.
Congressman Kanjorski, you shook your head no just a moment ago.
It's not a tax. It's, it's sorry to see a politicization, whether it's by Shelley or her party. But this is not a tax. This is a fee paid.
What is it? It's a fee?
It's a fee.
Isn't that another word for a tax?
It will be held in reserve. No. A fee is a contingency held in reserve until a happening occurs. That hasn't happened, so the money can't be spent and won't be spent. It's just required in the bill that we have a fee, and we also have rules in the House that says we have to have pay-go. That means we have to pay for everything in the bill. So we've assessed a fee in case a contingency happened, so the money will be there.
Congressman Capito, what you can respond to Congressman Kanjorski there?
Well, I think, simply this is a fee tax. I think it's the same thing that's going to be assessed on financial institutions, and what it does, it's going to translate to, I believe, some job loss in a time of 10% unemployment. It's also going to, I'm worried about the effect that it will have on credit, because it's obviously going to be less money that the banks can use for mortgages, car loans, all the things that small business loans that the banks are involved in, and we're trying to spur that activity. And then you get the question of what this effect this is going to have on small town America, where we both live.
I had a very interesting exchange earlier today via email with a friend of mine who was high up in a financial institution in Washington for many years, and he made the point, and I'd like to get your reaction to it, that in this law, we're basically relying excessively on regulators as opposed to the clarity of statutory law. There was no problem when we had Glass-Steagall, basically, that sort of set the businesses that companies could be in. And he made the case that when you rely on regulators, as I believe it was Justice Brandeis said, you're asking for trouble. Are we relying too much on regulators, Congressman Kanjorski, here to do the job that Congress ought to do by statute law?
I would have preferred to have more rules like the Volcker rule or like my amendment, the too big to fail rule, embedded in the law so it was very clear and it was mandatory. That was not accomplishable politically. We didn't get any help to pass this bill from the Republican side, either in the House or in the Senate, and it's interesting that they should complain about it. I wish every one of them would ask the question, and also the industry and the media. What happens in this country if this bill fails? Do you think 236 points down on the Dow is surprising?
Well,
Check 1,000 or 2,000 points if we fail to change the ways that cause this problem.
Well, the media is asking, Representative Capito, where's Fannie and Freddie in all of this? When are you going to get to that? Many people believe they are endemic to the cause of the crisis.
Well, they're absolutely a part of the crisis, a large part of the crisis. And we worked hard as Republicans to the point of driving everybody crazy, I think, to bring in Fannie and Freddie into this bill, whether it was through, and there is a study in there, but an enlarged study, or put the potential financial downside on budget so we could see how much it's cost. We were asking for transparency. We were asking for accountability with Fannie and Freddie. We got nowhere with this.
Representative Kanjorski, your response? You held it up, she says.
Very clearly, Fannie and Freddie are under my specific jurisdiction,
right,
my subcommittee, and we have held 3 or 4 hearings already this year. This bill never intended to handle the institutions of Fannie and Freddie.
Why not, though? Why not?
Because they're going to take several years to shove that secondary market operation to some other area, and we're looking at what the viability is and how that can be done. But we handle the Fannie and Freddie matter in the process. This bill contains all the rules and regulations and the process that Fannie and Freddie will never be able to get into difficulty as they had in the past if this bill is enacted. So we've split the problem down to process, and we've taken care of the process in this regulatory reform bill. Next year, we will come up with the institutional change of Fannie and Freddie, but they're not going to disappear. They're not going to... We obviously don't. We're going to find a mechanism to handle secondary market and mortgaging operations in this country in a smooth transition, and at that point, Fannie and Freddie will be the situation. So we will have solved the problem. Fannie and Freddie it did not cause this problem. They participated in the problem. They caused it no more than most of the Wall Street houses that are out from 2004 until now and sold these extraordinary pieces of securitizations. And we can talk about it from a political standpoint. It sounds good, but nobody ever intended or represented that we were going to handle Fannie and Freddie.
Your point made.